And so one that's going to get me in all kinds of trouble because everybody likes to judge what's a 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. The point of this is what an affluent 5 is. An affluent 5 is, I noticed, working in personal training in high-end gyms, I kind of looked around one day and I was like in my 30s or 40s even by then. And most of the women there are married very well. They are not particularly beautiful, especially facially. They'll be slim, they'll be fit, they'll make great mothers, they're socially competent. They tend to keep the drama low, at least from what we could see. And they support their husband and him and his family. And it wasn't, they're not, it's what they're not. They're not like high maintenance 8s, which is what you always kind of think of. You think, oh, I'm going to get rich and bang 8s and 9s. And there is a teeny tiny subset of men like that. But generally you go into nice areas of the country, of the US, and you'll see far more affluent 5s. And they're, like I said, if you really look at their face, they're not facially beautiful. And of course, everybody got all bent out of shape. Well, if you're an American and you see a slim girl, she's automatically a 5 or a 6 because all these girls are fat. And even girls that could be attractive aren't because they're overweight by 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 pounds. But again, this girl she's more attractive than your standard affluent 5. Think of like Sarah Jessica Parker, the girl that was on like Sex and the City, or Jeff Bezos's first wife. They're not facially attractive. They're 5s. This girl's like a 6, 7. She has a pretty face, but again, the whole package. Again, when she's walking by, guys aren't like whipping their dick out and masturbating like guys think a girl will have that type of attractiveness should they ever make it. So your classic example of an affluent 5, you find them in wealthier neighborhoods all over the US. Average face, fit body, cleans up well, can raise kids well, navigate family social dynamics, extremely loyal, unless embarrassed by public infidelity. There's certain rules here. Far more wealthy men marry these girls than high maintenance hard 8s, which is what I probably should have started off with the whole thing, because that covers everything. Again, everybody will look at this video and they get all kind of jacked up because she's not a 5. She's not a hard 8 either. So stay with the lesson, not with the example per se. If you're looking at true 5s, again, slim, well taken care of, but facially not that attractive structurally, or pretty in the classic sense. And this girl is pretty in the classic sense. But that's what you have to see. And again, everybody kind of, like Mark says, she's a super example. Again, guys generally, you would be surprised. I work with a lot of people. Guys generally will tend to judge across the board, on a bell curve, attractiveness of women, and they tend to judge in the same, they'll get them within a couple points of each other. And you can only contrast this like with women, where one guy will be like physically repulsive to one girl, and the next girl finds him to be like, she can't take her eyes off of him. It's different. So men generally, there'll be some variation in a lot of culture, and your eye and who is attracted to you will play into all of this. But generally, men tend to be within a couple points of each other. Like, no one would ever think that she is a 10 or a 2. So, you can kind of find your numbers within these areas. Again, there will be subtle differences. But was an affluent 5? It's what you tend to see in the better neighborhoods. Who do these guys actually marry? Social, old school money. Again, who is determined a lot by the parents. Girls that are kind of like already picked out for the guy, he'll bring home a different girl from college, and his mom and his sisters will be like, she's okay. Have you talked to Karen? And they'll get Karen, who you've known since second grade, in front of you by the time she's a senior at just the right time. Again, families have a lot of influence in this stuff, and they'll kind of like behind the scenes guide the right girls in front of the guys and make it happen. There's less chance encounters than you think when it comes to the higher level couples. But again, an affluent 5 is a very average, slim, good moms, good social graces, minimum drama, great homemakers, and stay in shape, and very loyal, but not what you would think of as a hard 8 that people are like clapping as she passes by. This is not what they are. An affluent 5 is your classic 5 or 6. So that's just something you should be aware of, especially when you see wealthier guys and you're like, that's not what I thought he would be with. Now you understand who it is and what you're looking at. I hope that will help you in the future, especially if you make some money. You can figure out what might help you preserve your money best. So next slide. I've never seen a